proceedings yet this afternoon. Also, we bring attention to our staff and are thankful for all that they do for the betterment of St. Joseph County. And of course, our military veterans that are serving around the globe. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Whalen? Commissioner Baker?
Yep.
Commissioner Conklin?
Here.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Here.
Commissioner Rosado?
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Here.
Chairman Malone?
Thank you. Next up, we have on the floor. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Chairman, I move that we accept the agenda, adopt the agenda as presented.
Support. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Now the consent agenda, please.
Chairman, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Full support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Next up, we have public comment. I also acknowledge we have our resume, former probate judge Shoemaker. Good evening. Anyone have anything to bring to the commission? You have 4 minutes. Please report.
Hi there, my name is Allison Kyle. I live at 890 Ralston Road, Coleman, Michigan. I also have a business in Coleman known as the Magic Capital Grill, formerly known as the M&M. I am here to request your voices to help put pressure on the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office to give Brittany Wallace Shank's case fully to the Michigan State Police. What if this was your daughter? It has now been 2,146 days, and it is time to give her case to some new eyes. I am begging you, please do whatever we can. Please press this case to be moved forward. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nate Clipville. I live at 890 Ralston Road, Coleman, Michigan. I also own a business in Coleman, Michigan, 218 East State Street. I'm also here to request your voices to help put pressure on St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office to give Brittany Wallace Shank's case full attention and fully to the Michigan State Police. What if this was your daughter? It has now been 2,146 days. It's time to give her case new eyes. Thank you. Thank you.
I am here to request your voices to help put pressure on St. Joseph County Office. Oh, sorry. My name is Brittany and Jack Whitcomb. Address? Broome, sorry. Broome, Michigan.
Thank you.
I am here to request your voices to help put pressure on St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office to get Brittany Wallace Shank's case fully to the Michigan State Police. What if this was your daughter? It has now been 2,146 days. It's time to give her case new eyes.
Susan Deneen from Coleman, Michigan. I am here to request your voices to help put pressure on St. Joe County Sheriff's Office to give Brittany Wallace Shank's case fully to the Michigan State Police. What if this was your daughter? It's now been 2,146 days. Time to give her the case to new eyes. Thank you.
My name is Jackie Nolan, 69854 Ricky Drive, Sturgis, Michigan. I'm here to request that you use your voices and influence to help put pressure on St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office to give Brittany Wallace Shank's case fully to the Michigan State Police. What if it was your daughter? It has now been 2,146 days. It's time to give her case to new eyes. Brittany's father, Greg Wallace, is unable to be here tonight due to health reasons. So I am speaking on his behalf. On behalf of Greg Wallace, he is inviting each one of you to attend our peaceful protest, beginning right here at the courthouse and making our way to the Sheriff's Department on Saturday, October 26th at 3 p.m. This is a great opportunity for you to show the community, those ones who have elected you to help our voices be heard, that you too believe that 2,146 days is too long. And it's time for the St. Joseph County Sheriff Department to give Brittany Wallace Shank's case fully to the Michigan State Police. And we hope to see each one of you there.
Any motion to approach and review communications to the event?
Please hand over to the clerk and she'll handle those off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Jessica Rolfe, Coldwater, Michigan. I am here to request your voices to help put pressure on St. Joseph County Sheriff's Department to give Brittany Wallace Shank case forward to the Michigan State Police. This is my daughter. I've been 2,146 days. We ask you please give this case to somebody, to the Michigan State Police, somebody else with some wise and some more resources. Thank you.
within the county's edible landscaping. I encourage you to add this to a future agenda to be discussed and approved. I would be willing to work with the county's arborist or whoever is in charge of landscaping. Thank you for your time and helpful consideration of my proposal.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the public comments. Except for your presentation, we have a medical examiner 2023 annual report by Dr. Patrick Haas. I'll look at that, all right?
Not at all, Dr. Haynes, at your service. Pleased to stand before you this evening. It's been a year since I've been here when the torch was passed from Dr. Young to myself, and so I'm glad to be back, and I thank you for the invitation to give this presentation. You have, I believe, before you, handed to you from our Chief of Investigations, John Storr, the annual report from 2023. It has several pages of preliminary information about state statute, name accreditation, that's National Association of Medical Examiners, basically the things that cover the function of our office. And then it's alphabetized by county after that, and so that should put us, I believe, at page 56 for St. Joseph County. And commences the boring part of the presentation. It's data, and I can pretty much give it all in a single sentence, really, to be honest. Across all our counties, we're seeing a return to pre-COVID numbers. That's really the theme, is that things have kind of settled back down to where we were before COVID. Walking you through these tables, though, since I am here, and you are too, let's look at it. Down the first table on page 56 on the right column, that's 2023. And if you just scan down that, all those numbers basically resemble 2019-ish numbers, plus or minus. So it's really pre-COVID numbers, with the exception of the number of complete autopsies, which is the number 28 that you'll see. Just scan down that column, and then the external examinations, which is two rows down, excuse me. That is the number 21 there. So our complete autopsies are down, but our external examinations are up, and I think that is because we brought on a CT scanner a couple of years ago, and so I think that has enabled us to convert some cases that would have been autopsy into external examination, which is the postmortem CT. I'm not 100% certain because we have only a single year of data, now that COVID has settled down. I believe that's probably why that is. On the table below that is cremation permit authorizations. Cremation has become the preferred method of disposition for mortal remains, and so the vast majority of people are becoming cremated, and you can see it creeping up as you read across there. The total percentage of deaths cremated were up to 73% in 2023. So, forensic pathologists approves those cremations, reviewing every permit and death certificate to make sure that a non-natural death isn't slipping through the cracks uninvestigated prior to the physical evidence of the body being irreparably destroyed in the cremation process. On page 57, you see the manners of death reported. Again, reading down that right column is 2023. By the way, natural deaths are the vast majority, followed by accidents. This is typical for national trends. It's just what it is. The vast majority of deaths we encounter are natural. And then below that, that's reported by age. Now on this table, 2023 is reading across the bottom row, and so you can see obviously that's reported increase with age. We expect that. There were some pediatric deaths between the ages of 11 and 17, including one suicide, regrettably. That did happen, but not enough to comment on any sort of trend or pattern that occurred. Yes.
A quick question, back on accidents.
Yes.
Are you referring to traffic crashes? Are you talking accidental gun shootings? What type of accidents?
And that brings us to the next page. Perfectly, thank you, page 58. Accidental deaths by mechanism. And so if you read down that right column, that's 2023, you see 10 of them were motor vehicle collisions, 8 of them were drug-related fatalities, 1 drowning, 5 of them were falls. In most instances, those are falls from ground level, not falls from a height, but think the little old lady who falls from breaks her hip and she never fully recovers, and so those are accidental deaths. There were 3 fire fatalities as well. And then below that, because we mentioned the drugs, our accidental person die, that's an accident. So that brings us to page 59, I believe, where we see suicides by sex and age. And again, now 2023, just reading across the bottom row of that table rather than down in the right column. Males outnumber females usually anywhere from 2 to 4 to 1 in most of our counties, and it's no different here. And the frequency of suicides typically rises by age. It tends to be elderly men who accomplish it. And then on page 60, suicides by mechanism. Firearms and hangings are always the leading preferred mechanism that people seem to choose. Drug intoxications, motor vehicle collisions, such as driving your vehicle into a fixed object, is not uncommon, and in this case there was one to speak of in this county in 2023. So that's the extent of the data. What I really want to say though today is I hope it has been a seamless transition since Dr. Young departed as medical examiner last year, and I have taken over in her stead. I'm hoping you felt nothing, no change whatsoever. And now, as I'm fully entrenched for a full year of being your medical examiner, I will look for avenues to improve, and I cannot do that without your feedback. So if there's anything you notice ever pertinent to our office, please bring it to our attention. I also would like you to please come visit our facility. We are very pleased with it, and we love to show it off. So if you're ever inclined, please come to WMed in Kalamazoo and tour the place. Are there any questions?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
The housing coordinator and the corporate
Good evening. So the attempt to cram in 14 months worth of energy and effort into just a few minutes is going to be difficult. But I will say that I'm more than happy to meet with any of you commissioners at a later date to get into more details. So everything I'm going to share is going to be up a level and working its way down the best I can with the fixed time we have to do it. Part of the packet you received has a link to a 13-minute video testimony. And then in your packet you also have a package of testimonies that were typed or handwritten and turned in. As a housing coordinator, the two key ingredients are building relationship and building housing. That's the goal of the 60-page housing plan that was put together by our county. The 20-plus testimonials that you get a chance to review are from different groups, organizations, legislators, and municipalities. At this time, I'll just do a quick overview. One of those is from the Community Development Coordinator at the South Central Michigan Planning Council. The reason why this few paragraphs is super important, this is at the state level group where we decide how the state is going to distribute money to our rural communities. And I'm happy to say that we have millions of dollars coming into our region based on those meetings and based on the subcommittee that I'm a part of. And that testimonial will say how I played a role in that. I also have a testimonial from our congressman identifying the need for our state and the role that I'm playing in that. Also have been part of the Housing Development Board. And there's a testimonial there about how at the local level I'm doing those things as expected. The St. Joe County Human Service Commission is who I report to on a monthly basis. You would have also got a copy of the monthly report that I turn into them and am held accountable on a monthly basis. And I'll go over that in just a little bit. But they also put together a few paragraphs talking about how I work with them and how I'm getting things accomplished in that regard. In addition to the video testimonials, there's also one from the Edison Community Partners in reference to the Hollander Development Corporation. Specifically, I believe that this will, in the next 12 months, turn into what will be approximately $9 million grant to facilitate and help build a housing development for fixed income seniors. Another one is from Southwest Michigan First, one of the economic leaders in our region that we're partnered with, and their specific reference to our relationship. Property developers, local investors, all the way down to the new home builder in Lockport Township who couldn't get somebody to come out to their home to do inspections. They reached out to me specifically, and within 24 hours they were able to have somebody come out. So all the way from the state, federal level, all the way down to the local neighbor who's trying to get something in the backyard. In that list of testimonials, and like I said, you have access to those. There's economic development, there's executive director of Rooted, city managers, housing commissions, businesses, villages, executive directors of Habitat, Search Neighborhood Program, local lenders, board members, and the college. Turning over to the housing coordinator report, this is an example of what they get monthly. Just want to make a couple of quick highlights. The Mendon Workforce Housing Project, that is mentioned in the testimonial, but we are working on multiple housing projects within the village where I've been able to bring a developer, financing, the village, and other investors to do property swaps to do all this to make sure they're getting not only economic development, but of course, housing development. The Sturgis Housing Commission, I'm working with them specifically to create a nonprofit so that they can create a housing development group that will be focused on getting more housing in Sturgis County at market value, that they can turn the profits around and reinvest in low to medium income housing as well. Some of the most vulnerable people are going to be our homeless. I work with Hope United in that regards. And our young people transitioning into foster care, I'm working with Rooted, and that's on there as well. Last couple of things I want to mention is workforce development. I'm working directly with the Career Tech Education Group and Columbus Community College, both of which are featured in the testimonial video. We actually need workers to be doing this work going forward, and so I'm excited to say that we've made some progress there. And the thing that most people are concerned about is how we're going to pay for it, which seems to be the biggest issue. I'm happy to say that we are working currently on getting between $1 and $2 million in Michigan redevelopment for existing housing in St. Joe County. I'm currently working with Habitat for Humanity, the Constantine Area Community Foundation, White Vision Community Foundation, as well as the Search Neighborhood Program to start implementing those. We believe if we can get enough success in the first round, then we'll be able to offer that to other municipalities within the county. I know I'm probably pushing my time here, so I would just encourage you to look through any of those things that were added. Unless you have questions, I'm more than happy to take those. I would just end with, I'm in an awkward situation having my position paid for with ARPA funds. That ends in July of 2025, but as you know, you're in budgets now. Obviously, that can be put off to be an amendment later. I am working with the state level to potentially get funding for a position like mine, but that's not guaranteed, so I would encourage you to start looking at opportunities and ways to further this position as a county. The last projections just came out in the housing study last Tuesday. This is at least a 3 to 5 year plan to get anywhere near capacity or functional capacity. And at this point, if we don't build houses in St. Joe County, our neighbors will, and they will take our population.
Thank you.
How much grant money have we been funded? How much we actually received?
As far as dollars that I've oversaw or helped process at this point, I would say next to none. I mean, there's probably some where I had some relationship in it, but nothing that I would say was directly tied to me specifically. But I will specifically say in the next 12 months, I expect $9 million for the housing project I mentioned, and between $1 and $2 million for rebuild.
Where's that project going?
What's that?
Where's that project going?
Three Rivers has a LIHTC plan in place. There's a reference to that in one of the testimonials of the group that I'm working with. It's ultimately a $12 million project, obviously a longevity project that requires state funding to get that process.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Yes, sir. And I've talked briefly with the administrator about this. I was new in this position, had already been created. And I had asked the administrator the question about why is it that we gave ARPA money to the HSC to fund his position? And she indicated to me that they had done a study and that there's a short need, so the money was put towards that without any guarantee of future funding. And so one of the questions I'd like us to explore at the meeting maybe is, should this position, why isn't this position, if it's funded by county credited money to ARPA, why should he answer to the HSC? I think we need to look at that and determine whether or not it would be more beneficial to the county residents if he answers to the county, which would entail obviously looking and exploring as to whether or not we should create this position and make it a permanent funded position. It's something to think about for the future, because if his position dies after the money is over with, then who's going to go over this position? And so, I just want to put that in everybody's mind as to whether or not we need to explore creating that position and make it him answer to the county, whether he answers to the county administrator or to someone else in the county government. If we're going to fund it, he needs to respond to us with reports and not the agency. They have shared with me some of the concerns that they have at the HSC, and maybe Commissioner Schaefer could address that if you'd like to, or if you would.
Thank you. I got a question.
Yeah, I just kind of like to springboard off of that as well, is this has really been a pretty short-term relationship up to this point. This county has a long history, speaking of relationships, of developing relationships. And so I think Clayton has done a great job. And you can see in his reporting of developing those relationships. So I think Clayton's planted lots of seeds that I believe will come to futuristic development. I appreciate all the you've done, Clayton, because it's not easy to break through and obtain relationships. And I believe that's what it's all about.
How many homes have been built in the last year in St. Louis County?
Nobody keeps track of that specifically, so getting that specific numbers would be difficult. I think when we look at that number, we also need to look at net positive, and that's why we're going after renovation dollars too, because it doesn't really need to build 20 homes if 20 get condemned. So it's such a big picture project right now, and because it's so short term, I mean, you're only talking 8 more months theoretically. And coming from you guys, it would help set the standard on. It doesn't matter, it doesn't make sense to spend time working on data if it's going to end in 8 months. If this is something we're going to extend out 3 to 5 years, then those type of long-term strategy data points would make more sense. So I spent a lot of time on that.
I would think that we could find out how many new homes are built. Somebody has to issue a permit at some point, whether you issue an electrical permit or a construction permit.
Yeah, the numbers are easily tracked down through municipalities.
Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
So we have committee corrections, commissioner report.
Good evening, Chairman and County Commissioners. I am pleased to share with you the fiscal year 24 Community Corrections Annual Report. Our team has worked hard over the past 12 months to help reduce prison commitment rates, improve public safety rates, and increase court appearances. The 16-member Community Corrections Advisory Board, in partnership with the Michigan Department of Corrections and our local courts, oversees these efforts. One of our key accomplishments this year is maintaining a 91% court appearance rate, which is higher than our projected goal of 90%. This means that most people released on bond who have enrolled in pretrial services are returning for their federal court hearings. Additionally, we achieved a 91% public safety rate. This reflects the majority of individuals under supervision are not committing crimes. We also made progress on lowering the county's prison commitment rate. Our goal is to bring this down to 18%, did struggle slightly with our cognitive programs with enrollment numbers and referrals. To address this, we've increased communication with our MDSP agents. We're also continuing to collaborate with neighboring counties to do joint programming. Financially, we manage 99% of our budget, ensuring that our resources are being used wisely. As I mentioned, when facing challenges, we have staffing limitations as well as lower than expected enrollment rates. To improve these areas, in January we hired additional staffing, and we're continuing to enhance and look at coordinated services with the jail. Looking ahead to fiscal year 2025, I'm pleased to announce that we did receive a 35% increase in our grant for this year. So $132,000 will be used to continue to keep our core parents and public safety rates high, and also focusing on reducing our prison commitment rates. We'll also use that funding to increase participation in our enrollment numbers, both with our special supports and our own programming. And we'll look to continue to improve our pretrial services. We started the discussions with the jail and the staff around how we can be more efficient in our practices, and then we can prevent our courts. So in closing, I really just want to thank our board, as well as the staff who's here tonight, and all of you who have continued to support community corrections over the last few years.
Thank you, Melissa, for the report here this evening. Could you give me a copy, please, of your advisory board? And I'd like to know, is that a rotation board once appointed?
No, they actually do expire after 1 year. So we do have appointments coming up in the end of December.
And you have open positions on that advisory board right now?
We do. We have a few vacant positions. We also have one position that's coming from the commission, and currently Commissioner Rosado is on that, but I believe we do still have 2 additional vacancies.
Yeah, I'd like to see some.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a quick comment from Melissa. She does a great job. She also works closely with substance use disorder, which I'm part of, and there's always money there. Melissa has tried to get more grants from that organization to accomplish kind of the goals that they have set out. And there always is some too, so if they're running into an issue, please come to us and we'll look at that too. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's right now all of our social media programs are 100% grant funded, and so we talked with staff and administration about what we're going to fund money that might be available. But all our grant awards were funded this year, so our fiscal year is October 1st. So it's nice to see the grant awards come through. In specific, we had $130,000 award to our adult love treatment corps, $180,000 for our social insure program, community corrections programs received over $132,000, and then $16,000 specifically for our salary programs, which is where we also use the PhD funding for. So we'll continue for another year.
Thank you very much. County Administrator report, Lisa.
Just a couple things going on in our department right now. Open enrollment for our insurance plans is quickly approaching. We received our renewal from our brokers last week, so we're looking through that process and evaluating our current offerings and seeing what makes sense to move forward with. We also started contract or our labor negotiations this week, actually last week and this week, so we began our openers. We haven't met with all 10 unions yet, but we're getting through that. So hopefully in November we'll be able to bring back to you proposals and any tentative agreements for your approval and review. You'll notice on your agenda number 8 or number E. Just kidding. Letter E. I didn't have my glasses on. I would like to set an additional executive and board meeting in October. We have a couple of kind of time-sensitive matters that have popped up since our last meeting, as well as I anticipate our November board meeting to be fairly full. So I thought maybe we could move some of those items to the second meeting in October, so that the agenda is not quite as big, because we'll have budget negotiations, all those things. And in addition, that would give us an opportunity on the 29th to do our employee recognition awards. So that's what that item added to the agenda is. Just wanted to give you a heads up about that. And, I wanted to give, Sherry left. So to give Melissa a shout out, it's not only does she does an amazing job as the community corrections director, she also part-times as our early voting coordinator in the clerk's office. So she is, does a great job in both capacities, and we're lucky that she is willing to take on both those roles for us. So shout out to Melissa.
Thank you. So we have the committee reports appointments under Commission. I have 5 people on my agenda for appointment or reappointment.
I'll second that, and then other comments, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
It's really a privilege to sit on this particular board, representing the community, and joining me as a commissioner on that is Commissioner Conlon, who's also doing a great job in serving. We're always looking for good volunteers, and we have a terrific slate of appointments here this evening. Mandy Johnson, I don't see her here. She was going to try to be here, but she's a behavioral health specialist with a master's degree in behavioral health, serves accountability health care. And I am pleased to introduce Maggie Mead in the audience here this evening. Maggie and I served at the hospital for a number of years together. She's probably the most adaptable staff member on that hospital staff. I would see Maggie in many areas, capacities, filling in, and she'll serve as an excellent member. She's, of course, an RN trade, looking forward to working with her. Tim Barrett is also a recent new appointment, but is up for reappointment. Bill Klein from Klein's Resort has been on for a number of years and also does a good job along with George Letts from Sturgis area. So I think it's a great slate. Looking forward to their approval.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you and welcome aboard. Yeah, our new business, we have Federal Cross Foundation National Design Budget Approval. And so, okay, actually, that's the first. Good evening.
I'm sure we'll do it when you finish.
So you all should have these handouts, or if you want to come around with them, it's who you can, and this is for everybody.
So good evening. Again, Kenny with Ecker Wardell, principal. Also representing the rest of our project team here tonight, Greg Leeds with Frederick Construction and Terry Barton with the Barton Group. So we're present a short presentation here tonight, and then what we're really hoping is permission to go from our schematic design phase to the design development phase. So we have 2 additional phases that we need to complete to get the project out to bid, which will be design development and construction documents. So we're at a good point where we developed 4 floor plans, got our scopes of work, and then Frederick has budgeted the project. I wanted to present the total project budget, which is $10,531,550. So what that includes is $8.6 million in construction. It includes professional fees for the Barton Group and Ecker Wardell, builder's risk insurance, and then also FFB, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So
That's where our budget stands currently at the schematic design phase. Now, some capital items that got shifted to our project include brick top pointing on the building. We have a 1975 building that we're renovating, so I don't think that's been done in quite a while. Also, elevator maintenance, $46,000 shifted there. And then the west parking lot hasn't been fixed or repaid in several years. The east parking lot has. So those are some capital items that got moved over. So wanted to talk about what is the major items that are driving the project cost here. That would be of note. So what I have on the screen right now is our schematic site plan, and again, the west parking lot had not been updated in several years, so we have that included. We've also included in the schematic design a new entrance on the west parking lot. Now, Frederick has included a deduct for around $21,500 if we don't want to do that. So that's something that we'll talk about more as we go on. Is it a necessity? No. Would it help traffic flow? Would it mimic the east parking lot? Yes. So something to consider as we move forward. Next, I'm shifting to our floor plans. So wanted to talk about a few items there. So the brick columns that you see on the perimeter of the building, they're circular right now. There's several of those that show cracking and damage, and one of the things that we're looking at is, do we fix them or do we take them down and basically put up new masonry or a different product? That's something that we're going to evaluate structurally as we move into ED and see if it's something we want to move forward with replacing or fixing. So as we get to the end of ED, we'll update everybody on that and what the costs associated with that are. Another piece is the elevators. So originally, in our budget, we were looking at a modernization of just one elevator and then potentially a motor replacement on the other. TK Elevator came out here in the last couple of weeks and did a very deep dive and analysis. Really, both elevators at this point need a modernization. So parts to replace these are non-existent at this point. So if the elevator is to go down at this point, really you're going to be put in a position where you have to replace it anyway. So we're recommending in this budget that we modernize both elevators moving forward. Also, the electrical service. A lot like Three Rivers, the service is very old. It's hard to get parts, hard to replace. We're recommending going to a new 800 amp service. On the second floor, so originally above the police bay, we did not have a second floor. All right, so the delivery of the prisoners. So as we moved out throughout the design process, it was determined that we needed a little bit more space on the second floor to make the program work properly, free up some spaces, and bring some of those wish list items to the building design. So we are including a second story at this point in the project, which will, if you can see the plan up here, it does include a staff lounge and some future flex space, probably be storage moving forward as we open up the building, but could be additional space that we grow into. It just made a lot of sense for the dollars right now to build that versus trying to solve a problem later on. Also
some interior masonry that in some of the original designs previously that we weren't touching. Now we're getting into more accurate design, looking at the holding cells that we had to add some additional interior masonry. Another item is the basement ceiling. We're not doing a lot of renovations in the basement, but we do have to take down some of the ceiling to replace the hydronic, do some of the plumbing, do some of the electrical. So there will be some cost with taking that ceiling down and putting it back up. But for the most part, we're still not renovating that basement. Plumbing fixtures. We jumped to about 61 fixtures. So that's something we'll be looking at moving forward. Can we eliminate some of those fixtures as we move forward? Obviously, we feel like we do have to meet the fixture counts for plumbing and toilet facilities and hand wash that the new code prescribes. So, number one, we need to meet that, and then from there we'll look at what's a necessity, what's nice to have. Fire alarm. We added about 15,000 square feet. So, based on some changes to the program, we are going to have some fire alarm work in the basement, just because of queuing of some of the for the courts, moving from the second floor to the basement level. So with that, on the fire alarm, that'll Greg can maybe talk a little bit more about that. That he's plugging in about 15,000 square feet to address that as we move forward. Also, if I scroll back to the first floor, one of the big discussions moving forward, and we haven't sketched this out yet, is in this area of the plan. Right now, the concept is that we want to address the security of the building. So we want to bring people into both of these buildings and bring them through the scanners, bring them through the x-rays, moving forward. So moving forward, everybody's going to be coming through the east entrance. Right about here on the plan, we're going to be adding interior space so that we can free up some of that flow and route people from as they come in from that east entrance to the courthouse or into the 1975 original building. Those were some major items that were impacting cost. There's some other potential changes out there that could be brought into the project. There's talk of additional signage for some of the annex buildings. There's also, we're discussing, do we want to bring an acoustical consult into the courtrooms to make sure we don't have noise transferred into other parts of the building. Also talking with the maintenance staff, when the air handlers kick on, they do make noise and do provide some disruption to the courts. So that's something we want to make sure that we mitigate moving forward. And then also we've talked about chiller replacement. So again, one of the chillers is fine. One of them potentially needs to be replaced. Is it operational now? Yes. Is it getting to the end of life? What we want to do in the design development is take a hard look at that and apply some of the load calculations to it, make us
budget and get Frederick to budget that and see if it's something we want to do forward. As we move forward, into this DD, we're very pleased with where we've landed on the first and second floor. We've met with all the users, we've had a lot of great input, and we're looking forward to additional input with those users moving forward and diving into the details of interior aesthetics, some of their equipment layouts, their furniture layouts, diving into the millwork design and the lighting design as we move forward here. So, happy to answer any questions or bring some of the other team members up here to answer questions as we move forward. But really what we're looking for is an approval to move our process into design development at this point.
Any other questions?
Greg, you have any?
No, the only thing you talk about fire alarm a little bit, so, essentially, in the last version, we had assumed the existing fire alarm system was better than it is, so, essentially, the entire system, the other building will get fully replaced, that's going to take about years.
He's asking if you had anything to add. Oh, I'm sorry. Jim is also next just because of a brief situation in Cold Salmon and the presentation in place. So I appreciate the discourse there. So, speaking of this, all these potential things you're talking about, is that included in that 10.5 or is that over the low?
Yeah, everything's included in that 10.5 except the last three items that I talked about, the signage, the acoustical consultant, and the chiller. So those will be vetted out during DP, but correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, you got everything else covered.
The chiller we talked about, once the system is sized, we'll do another budget update for that at the DD level. And then, that's really one that would be an add alternate to the work area to ask for some, take advantage of, midday pricing, and essentially, you all would make the final decision as to whether or not those costs came out of the maintenance account, to take advantage of, doing this part of the project. The design information will basically, it needs to be done one way or the other, so we look at it and say, it just makes sense to have to come over. You all design it, and how it works.
And I think when we get to DD, Frederick will have a lot more information with the mechanicals, electricals. We'll start to actually spec out some of the items so that we can get a little bit more detail and refine budget at that point.
Here on this chiller, or one boiler, we're gonna put that in there, so, one boiler absolutely shot, so take advantage of our good day pricing, that piece is tremendous.
Yeah, we have the one over the restaurant, we can't put it right now. Just, again, it's not solid, it's just, it's a track.
But that's in this price?
For the one that's down, yes.
Okay.
And that, and if I recall right from the conversation we had, that sizing because of our needs should lessen the efficiencies on our installation values and that.
Yeah, at the SD level design, that it doesn't call for that level of details as opposed to, they don't have the engineering support for recommendation.
Any other questions?
I move to approve the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners to authorize Teresa County Administrator to present and execute the scope of work as identified in the St. Joseph County Central Courthouse renovation schematic design budget and contingent with final county legal approval. We have plans.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Good evening, sir.
All right, good evening. Today I have the 2024 apportionment report that I prepared on the commission's behalf and presented it to you last week at the executive meeting. It's a compilation of all the villages countywide that the local taxing authorities have requested to levy for the current tax year. My office has reviewed these villages and verified that they comply with any applicable penalty reductions by state law. And today I'm just requesting the commission pass a resolution to approve the 2024 apportionment report.
Thank you. Any questions for Josh?
Chairman, I move to approve the 2024 apportionment report. Presented.
Discussion?
Bergman. Go ahead.
I want to make sure that Commissioner Baker had a question that was asked at the executive meeting. I want to make sure that that was answered because I don't recall.
Don't remember any specific questions from the executive meeting.
Remember you asked about,
Oh, that link?
yes.
Yeah, is this one that Bruce, us not rolling back?
So
For the head of the roll back, is this what we're doing for the head of the roll back?
So no, that was at the, on the 4029, and we approved the 4029, back in June. That's when the Headley stuff took it.
And this is just a rollover.
This is, yes, and this is basically approving all of the villages that the local units have. And we've already applied all those village reductions accordingly.
Thank you.
Any others? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Conklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopmaster?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Chairman Malone?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. 24 emergency management performance grants. Agreement and agreement passage.
She could make it tonight, but I was just presented an executive as an annual agreement, which allows the county to receive funds towards, her program, or her position, salary, and benefits.
I move to approve the 2024 emergency management performance grant agreement and required document.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. A contract position 12, community college. This was,
I'm also Jason Bigeman.
Yes.
So, yeah, and again, as he explained it, executive, this is another resource officer position that the is requesting, under Sheriff Bigeman. Again, reviewed it with Al, feels that this would be a positive situation for us as well as the county. And the incoming sheriff is also supportive of it, so.
And what this does is this allows for them to, through our sheriff's department, they are paying the life security out to the common on there around us. Any motion, please?
Move to approve the contract position with Lennox and Couch.
Or, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. And it's up to meeting today, which we still have a little bit during third quarter. We have a special executive committee meeting budget workshop Tuesday, October 22nd, Monday, 4 to 2:30, and followed by an executive at 4, and then on the following Tuesday, a regular commission meeting at 5 o'clock here. in the commission room.
Yeah, the board commission meeting.
How about State Bill 9, yes.
Well, the board meeting itself, I would like to do employee recognition, award, so that will take some time. But other than that, and there may be a closed session and then a couple agenda items, so it could be whatever you guys are,
I'm doing the 28, 29, or 30.
Over here we have one suggestion of bringing it on the 22nd. Does anybody else?
Okay.
How about 28?
Same also Monday.
Yeah, I'm open those 3 days if everybody else is different days.
So do the budget workshop and executive on the 22nd, and then do the board meeting on 28th, or all three on 28th?
I went in the original part for the, as far as the budget workshop and the executive, the previous week on the 28th would be a regular commission meeting.
Thank you.
I said we okay right there, we don't have to do more on that.
Why don't we just do a motion?
Basically, no more.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Commissioner Conlon, Commissioner Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I just would like to comment that I thought Anna Roberts did a nice job also for presentation. Consider edibles for the county. And I guess I would encourage her to bring her suggestion to soil conservation committee meets monthly, along with Parks and Recreation committee. You can find the dates and times on the website. Those would be partners in consideration. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I just wanted to speak out real quick to Brittany Walsh-Shank's family and friends that came. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming. I have a 16-year-old daughter and I have a 17-year-old son and a 14-year-old son. So I completely understand where you're coming from and would move heaven and earth to find them in the emergency. I appreciate you coming. It means a lot. I definitely do stand with you. I have reached out to different avenues and encouraging them to do everything they can to find her. I wish I could do more. I will say that, part of, I think, the issue is that, and people know my feelings on this because I'm not quiet about it. Part of the issue that you're running into right now is that we do have a no-show sheriff. We've had a no-show sheriff for 2 years, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we have a family in St. Joseph County that is searching for answers. I think that is a complete injustice. And if we had the ability, we would appoint a new sheriff. And hopefully that new sheriff, hopefully Chad works with you moving forward. But you talked about protesting, and I agree. You should be able to protest. Unfortunately, I think protesting the courthouse and the sheriff's department isn't going to do as good as if you protest the sheriff yourself. If you got a full-time job in careers, protest all you want. Because I think it's crazy that we're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to a sheriff that is not doing his job. Literally, blatantly not doing his job. And this is a perfect example of him not doing his job. And yet being rewarded for it. So I understand your anger, I understand your frustration. My heart goes to your cause. And honestly, I'm going to pray that we find answers. And that all of you find those answers. So I do appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas.
Well, if I wanted everyone to be happy with me, I'm just going to say a couple of things. Number one, in regards to the follow-up to Commissioner Hoffmeister's comments, there is a law against political influencing when it comes to law enforcement. I don't know how far we as commissioners can influence law enforcement in their criminal cases. I do know that when I worked in law enforcement in years past, there was some attempted political influencing from the government officials there, and it was a squash was put on it by the Attorney General's office. And so we have to be careful on how we do what we do to encourage what you guys want. Just so you know, it may appear that we don't want to do something, but our hands are also tied to a certain extent. I've even suggested different things that we can do, and I've been told you can't do that because of political influencing. So just be aware that it may look like we're not interested, but we really are. Our hearts are with you. The other thing I wanted to address was something that, I just feel moved. I said this to the chairman before the meeting, and I think I stand by it. We can blame the sheriff all we want, but the fact of the matter is that this department has been run by someone else. And his action or inaction is his inaction or inaction. If he's been given the opportunity to run the department, then he should have run it and did what he can do with this case. I'm not slamming him personally, I'm just slamming the idea that I'm tired of hearing about the sheriff this, the sheriff that, the sheriff that. It's obvious our hands are tied with what we can do with the sheriff. He's an elected official, the people put him there, the people can remove him, or the governor can remove him. We can't. So I don't like the fact that we're constantly bringing up, well, our hands are tied because the sheriff is doing what he's doing. No, the undersheriff was running the operation. The undersheriff should have done what he needed to get done. That's my opinion. And, like I said, I'm not selling ice cream today, but it is what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. Okay? And then in regards to, Lori, is it? That's right. In regards to her suggestion, I like that idea, and I was going to suggest to you that you contact certain service clubs, because I know Sturgis, Kiwanis Club, they have a card. I think it's open for the public. If not, they give away the produce. So I don't know how much the county can do about doing this, but I like Commissioner Schaefer's idea that the Conservation Club or the Parks Department or service clubs in different communities can get together. And maybe you can get a farmer to give you a small plot of land just for vegetables. That's just an idea. Okay? And I appreciate you constantly coming up with good ideas. I appreciate it today. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Just to go along with that, you did a nice presentation up here tonight, so it's hard to do that. So I think you did a very nice job. As far as the family goes, again, my heart goes out to you. It's, 6 years is a long time, and I think something should be done with this. But again, we'll do what we can do. I'm just telling you, it's not that we're setting it aside someplace. So we appreciate you being here, along with everybody else.
Thank you, Anna. Very nice on the edible landscape. It's a great idea. For the family, I don't even want out. Can't even begin to think how you feel and what you're going to do. I honestly think that it should have been together, work together. I'm sure MSP would be happy to sit down and use their resources and their people to follow up any needs that still may have that are open. And I don't know anything about the case, but I hope that comes to light. So, my heart is with you and prayers are with you.
Mr. Chairman, quick follow-up. I also wanted to bring up today in the, I believe it was a Three Rivers commercial, I saw that your case has been given some light. I saw a big blow up of a last person seen with her, so there has been some movement. I don't know much more about that, but I did see that. I didn't read the article. I was working at the time, but somebody has done something.
May I
Mr.
respond to
Chairman.
that?
Sure.
The photo or the sketch that we saw along with the 911 tape, that's nothing new. That's been out for years. So I believe the pressure that we put on, the family has put on, has made them come out with this information. But that's nothing new, just so you know. And by the way, they did not even tell the family that they were going to put out that information. The 911 call. Jessica and Greg heard their baby girl's voice via the media. No one told them this was going to happen.
Which is par for the course in the way this department has treated this family over and over and over. So our assertion for them working with MSP, no. It needs to be fully transferred with a new set of eyes, fresh investigation, and hopefully better treatment and communication and empathy for this family.
There was, you all remember Lindsay Turner, I'm going to guess, from the last meeting. Her and Mr. Wallace, Brian Wallace, had a chance to encounter with Under Sheriff Bateman a week or so ago. And he basically said, just wait, in 4 months, I'm done with this. Take this up with Spence. I'm done. Never once, they had a 16-minute conversation. Never once did Bateman say, I am so sorry, Mr. Wallace. I hate that I have to meet you like this. Not 1 ounce of empathy. It was washed my hands, I'm done in a few months. See ya. So this is why we come to you, and this is why we're going to continue to come to you, because we do get a response, from Mr. Allen, or we do get a discussion when we're here, as opposed to disrespect from the Sheriff's Department. And yes, we've tried to reach out to Sheriff Lillywhite, same way. Figure you got 4 months, do something. But no one's responding to this family. No one's responding to us. No one's responding at all.
And Susan and I have sat down on 2 separate occasions earlier late last winter, earlier this year, and we spent a couple of hours discussing this case with Under Sheriff Bateman. And he has expressed in both of those times that they will not give this case over to Michigan State Police. And at no time did he ever discuss with us that that was not something that he was able to do because he's not the sheriff. That was never brought up to us or said. It was, we will never get this case over.
So yes, your point was that there's publicity, there's things out in the media now. And I'd like to think that this role and the people behind it, that's because of us, right? It's not because of the sheriff's office that they care, because they don't. They're getting pressure from us, and they're reacting. They're not proactive, they're reactive.
In Detective Otten's own words, he says he doesn't have time for this case. So what if somebody else goes missing?
Currently, there is no one.
Nobody's
Only in July.
nobody's
Point to order, here's a copy of the email sent from Detective Otten with the signature. it says I am not able to spend any more time on Brittany's case. I do not have a time frame if or when I will return to my full capacity as a detective or sergeant because of the uncertainty of working the road. Within the last 10 months, we have had 3 sergeants resign and 5 in the last 5 months, causing a shortage. The worst part of this is that I've been pulled back to the road. I do not want to schedule anything until I am fully available, as I'm sure this will take more than 30 minutes. And it's signed by Detective Jason.
So we're trying. We're doing our best. And it doesn't seem like our best is good enough, but we're not done.
I feel it shows the ineffectiveness of the current office of sheriff and undersheriff and detectives and sergeants.
Yes. And we got involved in March of 2023. We came together as a community and held a rally for justice for Brittany at the Sheriff's Department. This community followed up with over 1,000 letters being sent to Undersheriff Bingaman and Detective Lawton asking for action on this case. This community raised over $4,000 for a billboard to be erected to bring awareness for this case. We held a 5-year vigil. 5 years. And I say this agency has had 6 years with this case. It's going nowhere. What does it hurt to transfer it fully someplace else? Be the heroes. Get this monkey off your back. There are plenty of other things that this agency is going to have to focus on. Give it over. Give it over and let new resources come into play so that you, the Sheriff's Department, can focus on new other cases.
I totally appreciate where you're coming from, not things, obviously people spoke to around and like that. We obviously still hope for changes. And it is one of those things that we are in a tough position. We don't like that position. I wish that could be an easy answer that we could just take a vote here and make a change and can't. But obviously, support your actions as far as with Commissioner Hoffmaster saying this is unfortunate. He is right. You start here. The community sees it unfortunately. The guy that could actually make the phone call and make a change isn't going to be there.
Right.
He's going to be over on Broadway. I believe. He's a job there in 3 Rivers. Probably doesn't want to see it outside of there. Really care what he thinks at that point. If you're on the sidewalk, you probably can be there. Just check with City Hall over there and make sure you're not doing anything wrong. So I'm not here to misguide you with that. I think it's right that you'd be better served if you place in front of this place of business than to be down here because he's not going to be there to see it. And I wish you luck in continuing that.
Thank you for your advice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, I appreciate as far. I wish I could speak to some of you gotten up, especially your age, and find I hope you do follow up with soil conservation and some of those groups because I don't know how to make that specifically happen. I have a really good idea to create it. Obviously, you have some ideas, you read on it, and spoke to it well, and I wish you luck with that endeavor. It's obviously powerful. And with that, thank you all for being here. Right there.
Jessica.